A lot of time will be spent in the engineer's seat.
I'm having to relearn how to drive this train because
The independent brake should be used when the locomotive is not. The automatic brake should be used when the locomotive is hauling cut.
What am I? Passenger, apparently. Oops. Neutral.
Activate the control systems as indicated.
I don't remember that being that. I wondered how I switched that.
The reverser is used to determine. We'll be coupling to the passenger cars ahead and preparing the train for departure. Use the throttle.
Where's my lights? That's not it. Where's my lights at? There's my heater. My bell.
If you stop short, release the brake and apply power again.
This one doesn't have the foot pedal, does it?
This locomotive is fitted with knuckle couplings. These allow for easy coupling to cars.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this one of them damn trains that as soon as you blow the whistle, it decides it's time to run the bell. I don't know how much of this line I'm gonna do. It's California, and there's generally everything they have except for that I enjoy. It's just I can't remember how to run it, and I don't really want to play the tutorial because I don't know. I'm almost there. Come on. Can't go over 5, I'll tell you that much. Oh shit, we hit it. We're here.
With the passenger cars attached, the last thing needed is a cab car on the end to go. Reverse and head to the south storage lead.
I'm trying to remember where my lights are. I suppose I don't need them, but I want lights there. Oh, come on, where's my lights at for that? That's my fuel pump engine run. I feel like it's one of these lights. No, but look through all this. I feel like it should be down there. There it is. Ooh. I don't like that. I hate their speedometer. I don't know what the screen's for. It doesn't really do much for me. Emergency cutoffs over there. I don't know what else is over there. Trains should be moving fine. Fine on speed. What's that? Isolation. Oh, this is where you started. You can go outside if you'd like to. Oh, look at that one go by. I think I'm going to complete this tutorial and go to the one I'm enjoying. Yeah, if you didn't know, that train is... Oh, he's got a locomotive at the end, but those cars have a driving compartment in it. The only reason I chose this train though is because out of all of them, this one has the good automatic brake, not the shitty one that, like it's always set to kind of a pressure buildup and then a lap. Like there isn't no in between of like an initial brake. And I hate that idea of constantly having to use lap. See, it's got initial reduction, service, and then you build it up. I have way too much there.
Shut down this locomotive.
Oh wait, I guess we're chilling here. Not emergency. Full service. Suppression? Suppression. Ooh, I think
Head over and operate the indicated switch lever.
well, why'd I shut the locomotive down if I want to be getting back in it? That's fucking retarded.
I do like trains.
They're pretty interesting. Like, hold on real quick. I'll show you what I mean. These actually get a, yeah, pretty much everything in this game is detailed like this. Oh, I'm in the wrong end either way. Yeah, see, this one doesn't. Oh, I'm sitting down. Yeah, you can sit in literally any seat you want, which I find hilarious, because the one I did figure kind of ish in the one mission where I found this train running. Alright, hold on. Oh, what I think is weird is, hold on. There's also this door switch, but I can also look at the door, like, find it right there.
Caution, the doors are about to close.
Yeah, I don't think these have the driving portion in them. None of these seem to. I think these are just a straight passenger one. Yeah, I'm not seeing any lead driver ones. I bet over wherever those ones were. They're gone now.
What train is this?
I don't remember. What is this one called? It's not telling me. I don't remember. It's the Californian one. MP15 DC diesel locomotive. It's the Californian what do you call that? Shunting train or whatever. They move cars around the yard. I'll be honest with you, I don't think I want to stick around this one. I want to go play my favorite after this. I'm going to go swap out and jump on into another, I don't remember where this rail line is located. Okay, I'll be in this one now. Okay. Well, that makes sense for shutting the other one down then.
I bet being a train conductor would be pretty boring.
I bet it can be. I wouldn't doubt it. Then, by the way, the one thing I hate is this kind of situation it gives me. This is my only cameras in this particular tutorial, and I hate that. can actually get up some speed. You can get up to, I would say, 6.5 right there. Cut the throttle and let it cruise for a second. Problem is, this thing really loses speed pretty quickly on a level plane. Oh, we're actually holding that. Oh, nope, never mind. Yeah, see, it just its speed does not hold. Which I understand it's only for shunting, but we're on a 0.0% grade. There is no fucking like gradient here. Like it just all its speed dies so really quickly, and I hate that about it. Alright, now we need to be prepared to initial reduction. As far as I can tell, there's no stop at the end, so I don't have to worry about that. So like what I mean by a stop is like one of them rail endpoints where there's like the buffer to prevent the train from going off the end of the track. By one of them, it instantly ends a mission, and that's what I was worried about down here, was there being one of those, but it keeps going, luckily.
Use the bar located on the passenger car to uncouple it from the locomotive.
Okay. After I do one thing, no, fuck you, I'm going to do my own thing real quick. I want to see something, because I'm pretty sure that this is the exact car I was talking about. If not, then that's one over there. One of those cars have to be. It might be that end one right there. Is it? Yeah, that's one right there. So if this isn't it, then that's it. No, this is one. Okay. So look at this. This is a passenger car, right? Like you can see passenger seats end to end, like double decker. These are in California. And like, don't get me wrong, like most people hate California, and these specifically are very popular there. But I can't blame them. Like, oh no, let me go. Oh, that's good. I can't go down there to it. So this is not only a passenger car, but it drives. So if I go back and close this, oh, it's because it's out of the mission area. Well, then that means I should be able to get in this one then. No, I can't. That's not a mission area. So you see how this window's so different, and you have those two windows there? That's a driving compartment. These drive. This entire car here can drive. Right? Like those right there are like fuel tank. I've wondered. I've been trying to figure this out, but I'm pretty sure it's right there but those have it too, so it's gotta be like AC. I don't understand where the motor is on it. Like where did they put the motor at to make this thing drive? It's gotta be up there, but that doesn't make sense because like let me go back to this train real quick. That's a diesel electric. I'm pretty sure that's got to be a diesel electric, because for the motor to be that high, but like how do they get enough current to move a train with it? So you see, you got these giant fuel tanks here. You got the engine here. I know a train that I could show you, but I don't really want to take the time to wait for this to load up to show you it. Oh, I just realized. See? You can go straight in. There we go. Oh no, I just realized that's pretty fun. I forgot about that being a thing. I know I need to release the car. I just don't know where these cars release from. See, y'all never told me where these cars release from. Is it on my end? It is. It's different than
Good
what
work.
I'm used to.
That concludes this introduction. More details on the operation of this train can be found in the manual.
Wait. Yeah, I pulled it. I wanted to rip the emergency brake. Alright, main menu. Alright, we're gonna really quickly go to my personal favorite area to be in the game with my favorite trains. I'll pass it. It's actually up here. Yeah, you guys see why right there. That train is cool. Alright, so we're gonna hit explore. No, we're gonna actually, yeah, we're gonna hit explore, training. I'm gonna do the introduction to this train just because I gotta show it. It's so fucking interesting to me. Just because I like the startup procedure, I like the way it handles. It's just a mint fucking engine. It runs perfectly to what I would want.
Welcome to Engineer Training. Here you'll be taken through the operation of a classic Electromotive Division F7 diesel-electric locomotive. During this brief introduction, we will go through the critical locomotive controls and freight operations.
I know how to do
When you're
them,
ready,
though.
climb aboard to get started.
It's just this was the quickest way. We gotta open the cab door.
Take a seat in the engineer's position. This is where you'll be spending most of it.
Which one is that so pointless to do?
The fuel pump will
Well,
need
I mean,
to be
this part
closed
is-
to allow fuel to reach the locomotive.
Well, fuel pump. Fuel pump.
The engine is currently shut down and will need to be started before progressing. Press and hold the engine start button
3,
to activate it.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
The isolation valve is currently in the start position. The rotaire valve allows the operator to set the brake mode to match the required operation of the locomotive. For the lead locomotive of a long train, use the freight setting. The reverse.
Forward. And set
The
this to-
transition lever is used to control the flow of the electrical current. The unit selector is used by the engineer to specify. The generator field switch will need to be set. For this introduction, we will be performing switching duties and handling the loading of hoppers. You are now ready for service. Using the throttle, apply a small amount of power to get moving.
Hear the horn on this one. It's a real train horn. This one's good. It's a Clinchfield line, that's what it was.
Coasting is a method used to... Keeping to speed limits is important. If you begin overspeeding, apply a small amount of brake by moving the handle into the braking range.
Dirty old engine. But I'm willing to accept that because it's really an old engine. They came out these things in like the later 40s. Fun fact, so like this was actually built like GMC, the car company, and so these are out of like an early 40s. Yeah, I think it's 40s. Yeah, 1948. That's when this thing came out. These windows, including this window, yeah, just this front window here, these two windows and those windows came out of a 1948 GMC pickup truck.
This yard features both manual and automatic switches. The manual switches will need to be set on foot before departing. Climb down now and make sure the switches are set to the correct position. The hoppers are in front of us. You will need to approach them slowly to safely couple and avoid a potential derailment. With the hoppers successfully coupled, your next task is to bring the cut of cars over to the tipple to begin the loading process. When loading hoppers, you need to keep to a slow and controlled speed to allow the loader to correctly and safely load the hoppers. Apply a small amount of power to start moving and then adjust the throttle back to the idle position once you're traveling at no more than 3 miles per hour.
You know, yeah, when I start this, I'm just curious. just seems off to me on how much power I'm having to give. I just feel like there's a breakup ride somewhere, so just reset the line. There we go. Well, it's not sliding, that's rolling. I was not watching my speed there.
Nice job. The hoppers are now loaded. Your final task is to couple this cut of cars to the waiting train.
I can also do it this way.
You will need to contact the dispatcher before you can leave the yard. Contact the dispatcher and ensure you're given clearance before proceeding.
Alright, 15 mile an hour speed limit. enjoy this train as much as I do its fun. And those fuckers, you get one of them, and you're done.
Hi.
Hello, welcome to me. Welcome to the stream, Buster Studio One. Welcome to the stream. We're gonna push this. We're just doing this tutorial for this because they're showing off this train. It's my favorite train in the game. Alright. Once you do this though, we'll do some actual missions in the game. I just want to do this one again. And sadly, since you can't lean out the window with the control scheme I had set up, this is our best bet is third person. I'm really curious. Look at that. I really just wanna move that wheel. Speed to click. There we go.
With the hoppers now coupled, you can uncouple the locomotive from the train. Use the cut bar on the rear hopper to uncouple the hoppers from this locomotive.
Where's the coupler? On the wrong side? I've learned anything though. This round front end, the way it's shaped with that bar thing, you can't exactly just climb over that spot, so you gotta... Yeah, down here. And you see right here, you can't get hit by a train. You get hit by a train right here. As soon as it says I can get hit by a train, it's gonna tell me with that little thing. Get back in from this side.
Good job. That is all of the tasks that have been assigned to you for now. Bring the locomotive back to the yard for use later in the day.
Bye, train. What I hit? Oh.
Good work. That
When the
concludes
fuck
all
did
of
it
the
do
basics
that?
of operating
Wait,
this
now I'm
locomotive.
confused. Because I remember the tutorial mission leave me on that track. Well, I mean, I stopped. I stopped. Can't say I didn't stop either because the train is not moving. Well, I was kind of fucking... I was so confused. I was like, what the hell just happened? I knew I was going to overshoot it when I saw it hit 20 really quickly. I went, well, shit, I waited too long to give it more service break. But oh well. Oh no, not that. Explore, timetable. That one. I don't want to do nothing. I wanted to kind of do a winter one, I'm not gonna lie. Where'd that winter one go? I know there's a winter snow one on here. Fuck it, we'll just do that again. We'll do that one again. I was trying to find one, but I can't find it. It was a winter one that I was wanting to do. Let's do the other one I was talking about, the one of them longer ones. I really want to get that one. That one just came out, but it looks nice. That one. Okay. The brakes on. How many trains was back in the day? wow, that's a new one actually. So, I know what these are. These, I can't remember what their name is, but they're power cars. So imagine you have a train that also has a train that you can't drive this. Like, there's no way of driving. The only way to operate this is to connect these to a train, but this is just basically another engine on top of the engine. And so I have two of those, and then another engine at the end, and a long, long line of cars going all the way down. Alright, so I don't know how to set this up. I need to set control field pump, generator field, engine run. That's set, it's good. Series parallel. Freight. Set that to 4. And then let me think. Oh no, I don't. What's down here? Making sure I got everything set. That on. What else? Like lights dim, number lights, and class light. Anything else? And also, if you're wondering, my cab light is a light switch on the ceiling that turns that one on. And then to turn the other one on, there's another light switch for him right there. And like I said before, it's just cool to me how they made this thing. It was a necessity. They needed a train, and so they built this one out of everything they could. Right. Forward. Let's go and get some amperage building up. And release. Well, wow. Okay. It's looking to me that our speed limit is limited to about 15 at the moment, so let's keep an eye on that. This handle's in the way. But I can pull it to get out of my way, but I can't get out of my way real quick. We do need to maintain as close to 15 as possible, because I do believe we will be going upgrade. It looks kind of downgrade, so we may not end up needing. Yeah, grade's increasing really rapidly right there. Go to 1.5. I like the bell on this thing. Yeah, you can see it's an old GMC window. I don't know. I think it's hilarious. It's like, I'll repeat it again just because some of y'all might not know. This is an old 1948 diesel electric engine. They built to replace steam engines. Well, to start replacing steam engines to make them more streamlined kind of locomotive to be their freight hauler, you know. And so when they were building this thing, I believe it was, if I'm right, it was entirely built by GMC, or another company built it, but GMC was a part of it. Anyways, when they were building this, they just wanted an ease of production, you know. Mass production's a big deal at this point in the United States, especially right after the Second World War. We're the big superpower now. We know what we're doing, you know, mostly. And so their way of streamlining it was by taking GMC truck parts. And so this window, and the front windows, including that over there, but are all GMC pickup truck windows. Like, if you owned one of these trains per se, and you needed this window, if you found an old GMC, not pickup, but what do you call it? There's semi truck. You could take this window from that truck and put it on the train. No, it actually is the pickup truck, if I remember correctly. It's just the full front windshield. But yeah, this is how they made this train. It was just by things they already had. And so it had its fair share of problems. So for instance, like as you see with the door, it's just a sheer drop. Also, you have no view behind you because there's no such thing as mirrors on this train at all or anything. And so in order to, like when it came to shunting and moving cars around the yard, they still mostly use steam trains, but still some companies did use these. But it was not the best because the fact you had to lean your head all the way out the window constantly, which was difficult because you can your throttle's over here and your brakes are right next to you, which is easy enough. But, you know, to get to out the things you need, you're going to lean over here more. So that was one issue. Another thing was this thing only has 1,500 horsepower, which yes is a lot. This thing has a lot of pulling power, but there were times where I heard them show you this before in the tunnel where they needed more pulling power. And so they developed this right here. That is a car. It's a engine that is another 1,500 horsepower combined with, I believe the maximum average I can hit on this thing is 8, almost 900 before wheel slip occurs. So pretty much between that range you can get out of that same rear car. Before we go, we need to do that. But yeah, it's just really interesting what led to developing this train. Oh, we're going downgrade now. But everything's simple on it. You got your usual things that steam trains had, which was you have your train automatic brake or the train brake. This connects to the whole engine. It's sending air through all the cars behind me pretty much. And then the independent, well, this is your train brake, and then this is, well, the locomotive brake and the train brake. The train brake sends air through all the cars. This brake only applies to this locomotive. On top of that, your another thing which had been simplified but was very random. So many trains, steam trains, had so many different ways they did the reverser, which is your gear select, so forward or backwards. Which, keep in mind, diesel trains did exist, but not as simply as this one did, per se. So this one has, there is other versions of this train. There were several versions that did have different styles where you did have to shift and stuff to control the amount of electricity you were creating. But this is the F7, and the F7 was the most popular one, which, like I said, is 1948, and they stopped needing this gear select. And that allows you to have the series system, which is series parallel and series shunt. Series shunt is for yard work, and series parallel is for haul. And then that's it. You have that, and that's it. Oh, that's not good to do that. So we're getting service brake. But this allows for, you have first service. This is the bleed off. and then you have series. So first you have first service, series, and service. So the difference is what first service just sets a specific amount of brake pressure. So if I set that, you'll see it automatically sets up to 10 bars. And then if I set this into lap, which is what it is, which is series pretty much, because that's another name for it, it's modern name for it, you see it doesn't apply any brake. But as soon as I turn service on, I'll start building brake pressure to my liking and say I want that much bar, and I set the lap and it holds it. Build my speed back up before we get into the hill. See, these trains do not build up amperage very quickly. That's something you also gotta remember with this. It's also a really long tunnel, and we're coming close to the light, but it's really, everything's simple. And so like the amount of trains you're connected to, the amount. So if I want to make sure I'm controlling more than one train, not just this one, I use a unit selector, and now I'm pulling. I have 4, so I'll select 4. This is where you'll set the rotary valve. And keep in mind, there are very few people who use these things for actual passenger cars, but they did. So this does have a passenger. There's a freight, lap, freight, passenger, passenger lap. I'm not sure what lap is for, but I know that freight is straight hauling it. So I could explain that part to you. The wipers are air controlled, so I can set the wiper to airline going in, and it's just simple enough, moves it back and forth. But that only activates to one side, so when we come out, you'll see that one's still off. I'm not paying attention at all. I'm going to set us up to about that much brake pressure for now. See if that slows us down. Yeah, it is. But sun visors are simple, just little slats that go over the window. And you see how I stopped this now? Well, you have this. You can just set it aside. Release. I may wanna. I'm not doing too much gradient wise. But see, in lap here, I can keep it sitting here and not have to worry, because if I need brake, there's no brake there right now. So as soon as I hit a brake, I need brake, I can just tap it on, throw on a little bit of brake pressure. We're sitting at probably 0.5 or 3.7, actually, if you look at my bottom right, which is not bad. So it's slowing us down still. We're going down gradient, which is kind of, this is where you're just balancing. You don't need any throttle, you're just cruising. The safety pedal, really, I'm not sure the whole phrase behind a safety pedal at this point. Because in Britain, if you take your foot off that, it'll automatically set, if you take your foot off that, it's going to set the emergency brake, like, instantly. This one is clearly not pressed until I press it, so I am not sure what that's supposed to be connected to or do at any point. Just like with most things, this thing actually started out, if I'm correct, this has it. The air horn system, it got converted to a different type of horn later on. But also the bell. That's enough. If it's not, we'll see. See, that's a just straight dead end track there. Got stops on it, but those I would not trust. Honestly, this train is not that hard to understand. Like, it's really simple, and that's why I like it so much. Transition cutout switch, I'm not exactly sure what that's gonna do. Wait, and the transition cut out. I wonder, because I remember one time studying that these things had a multi-purpose system for it like that, where you could switch it to, instead of it being an automatic transmission, you could set them to a manual. And I wonder if that's what that does, is it gives you the ability to set a manual. Wow, we're actually losing speed. Going downgrade? Oh, I guess I set it in lap fast enough to where... I guess fucking first service is doing alright then. Another thing I noticed real quick, which I thought was kind of surprising, if you look, his emergency brakes look right there. So if he wants to pull that, he's gonna have to lay his head down. And if we hit and his head's still down, that's a solid metal dash. Like that's not no comfort dash. That's solid metal. He's gonna hit his head for. I mean, don't get me wrong. This guy doesn't get a seatbelt whatsoever, but he's gonna have time to brace. His head's gonna be down. He's gonna go. His bald head is not gonna last on that. Flip that off. It was a short service, it was only 15 miles, which is not bad. I really am curious about that, but I'm not going to mess with that yet. So, to start this train is really quick and simple, actually. Hold on. You'll set, where is it at? You'll set your fuel pump control on. You'll want to make sure you keep at least your brake on. And you'll go over there, and you'll set that to, you'll isolate that. We're in a tunnel again. Ooh, yeah, I know there's some short because they ended right there. So normally though, this will be set to off. You'll go turn on your control pump, set that to start. And then what was it? I think there was one more thing. Let me make sure. Let me think here. Yeah, that was everything. You'll hold that button right there for 10 seconds, and now start the engine. You switch that back over to run, and then you flip on your engine run, your generator field, and then all this extra shit is class lights and stuff that I've got turned on, number light, headlights, and so forth. And then if you're shunting, you'll set this to shunt, but I'm not shunting, which is moving cars in the yard. I'm pulling a bunch of empty trains at that, but I can't show you. But I can set this to series parallel, so that way it knows I'm hauling. I set my engines to 4. I set my rotary valve to freight. I turn on my automatic brake to full, to all the way over, which is starts filling my lines up real quick with air, and then I'll take that off. That's my habit. That's not really an in-game need. It's just my habit. I like my gauge lights on. I like my main light on. I really don't need this on because with this, it's just this big bright light in here. But you'll set this to forward to go forward, and reverse to go reverse, but it's called a reverser. Really simple. Really simple train to operate. This is your sander. So you have sand lead, which just dumps sand out the front. And then you have another one which is sand. Which dumps sand from both in the lead and the middle. So if I do sand, what this does, So if you're slipping on track, if the track is really slick, like let's say it's raining or it's snowy and you're struggling to get the train moving, or you're struggling to maintain movement, you can drop sand. If you're not moving, that's just fucking useless, I'll be honest with you, because if you're not going absolutely anywhere, all you're doing is putting sand in front of where you're going, which will not do shit. All in all, this is a really simple ride because, oh yeah, there's heater. We have a cab heater right here, which mine was set to 1 apparently, I don't know why. For service, we have heater over there. We have 2 separate heaters. Bear in mind, I don't fucking know where the heat is coming from in this thing. I've yet to see where the heat would come from. I mean, I could guess on what creates the heat, but I could not tell you how it gets to me because I don't see a vent anywhere around me, like anywhere at all. That's not a vent, that's another gauge. So technically you have up to 4 gauges here. Not sure what the 4th one would be in this case, but I think it depends on circumstance. Over there, I don't know either. I guarantee you, because of the age of this thing, what you're getting is direct engine heat. And because this thing does not get an AC, actually, does it get a fan mode? No, it just gets 4 levels of heat. You have a window. That's your AC. This is a really good AC. Not with that there. I'll be honest with you. With that there, it's kind of the killing off your reason to have an AC. Because that window brace there, which just blocks wind, is its only purpose is to block wind from when you poke your head out. Takes away from the factor of using this as an AC, because what happens is you take this window, you flip it all the way around, and it literally will suck a shitload of air in. I've been in a vehicle with one of these, and they are the greatest AC you would ever get to experience. Like, they are amazing. So this is your best bet for AC, and even then that's not much. I mean, really, probably combining that might work. Like I said, great horn. You got rear control both horns. I like this though. So a lot of trains have this. Maybe we may finish this mission, or we can go to another old school train. That's one of the other straight diesels. It's not a diesel electric. It has a total of 4 engines in total, but you only start 2. And what you do is, it's instead of doing like this one, you have series parallel, you actually have to shift this one, but it's actual transmission, and that's what I think is interesting. So instead of this one being with the idea of shifting, this would be to control the amount of amps you're producing, so that way you don't over amp yourself, which is bad because it creates a stall mode or could burn out the engine really quickly. What you're doing there is instead you're shifting actual gears. And it's very weird in a train. It's very weird because it's nothing like you would think. There's not a clutch per se. You throw it to idle, pop to the next gear, and then move up. It's not hard. It's hard when you're going to stations because it's the only brake that it gets is like the service brake on this one, where it starts filling it's like the best way to describe it, opening a water tap. When you open the water tap, it slowly fills up the sink, and that's what you're doing. But it's different than this one in another way too, because with this one, if I want to release, I literally like, okay, hold on, what? I'll go to service. We'll let that build up to 30. Right, we're at 30. I go, and it just dumps brake. I have no other option to dump brake. I can do running, which is a slower release. I know we're killing our speed off here, but see, running will kill it off too. This is just to dump the brake. Build my speed back up. So it's an 8. This is light gears through in a way, but except it's different power levels. See, I'm only producing 700 amps, or you can see that in the bottom right too. I like this gauge a lot. You see how over amp, because there's nowhere for the amps to go. That's the only problem this early transmission has. It doesn't know what to do with a lot of amps at once. If you hear that, that's actually the what do you call it, kicking in the air pump to maintain a steady pressure of air. And so if I show you when I do that, I'm dumping out of my reservoir, which you can run out of air if you use too much air too quickly. Like if I was to throw this into emergency, which is all the way to the right, or pulling the brake that's over there, you can't see it. That's I was wondering if I could get it to pop up. If I, ooh, actually, there it is. Oh, I just had it right there. So there's an emergency brake there. That one's a lot easier. That one's a lot easier because if I just click it, it's gonna rip it, you know. But you'll see why I don't really care to have that light on right here, because with that light off, I can see there, and I can see these gauges completely fine. Oh hey, we just got a little bit of a speed increase, but we're about to lose it. Yeah, you see, it's getting, now it's as dark as it's going to get in this tunnel, but you can see, I see that fine. I can actually look right there and see I'm on idle and one, which is nice. This thing's got good lighting. And yes, this is actually something they would have at the time. These little light systems were invented like around that same point in time. Matter of fact, these same light systems.
What does it run on?
But this one's diesel. It runs on a straight diesel. It's like an older style diesel, but it does. So this one's, hold on. Oh yeah, I gotta wait for the tunnel. So you have, I'm trying to think of what that type of deep fuel mixture would be, because diesel's changed a lot since. Now look, I guarantee you that's a mission right there to the book. Sometimes there's little things you can find on the side of the track, but that's a mission, I'm pretty sure. So I'm trying to think. There's several different types of trains, but there's different types of diesel too. So like back then they made diesel differently. Instead of diesel we have now, like the military, we have diesel we use now, and then back then it was more of like an oil gas mixture in a way. It still is, but it's just, it's a more specific mixture combined with a couple other things that makes it run better. But then they ran it on this like old school mixture. I don't know how to explain it. It's really complicated. It's like 2/3, say, okay, we'll just put it this way. 2/3 motor oil, like 2/3 filtered motor oil, and 1/3 what do you call it, gasoline. Well, yeah, it'd be gasoline, but it wouldn't be gasoline because gasoline's different. So it would be like the real straight, or the real straight gas, like straight petroleum, like unleaded, like just straight real gasoline. Because what we put in our cars is even different now too. We're almost there. 7 miles. And I just want this 15 mile an hour to get out of here. We'll go ahead and throw it in first service. Alright, we'll go ahead and service break it. It was starting to go down. So I just dumped the brake and now I'm back. When we get there, I'm gonna rip emergency just so I can show you what I mean by how emergency will throw all the air. And that's no joke. Like, I've never seen it in real life, like in person, but I've
Where's
seen all
the fuel gauge, LOL?
the fuel gauge. Right here. For all of them. That one too. That one too. And that one too. And also,
Oh wow.
that side too. That side the whole way down. So the way you know is you measure it by hours. So I mean, newer trains have a fuel. Certain types of newer trains, not all, but certain ones have a fuel gauge in them. Back then, you knew it by the hours. So if you knew you would be running this 15-mile trip, you knew how much fuel you were gonna need. But it wasn't. It's kind of like with aircraft. Aircraft, they will say, I need to go from here to there. My landing weight can't exceed this much, and my takeoff weight can't exceed this much, and my flight weight can't exceed this much. And so that's off with it. So they calculate that. And it's the same way they did trains for a while. They would calculate how much fuel you needed for that running day, and then that's how much you'd get. And yeah, you'd get actually a little bit more than that because you need enough to be able to take it to the yard and park it and this and that, and you'd have enough to start it the next day, get it to the fuel station, and then fill it back up. Oh, I have to release that. The problem is we're on a 2% grade, and there's no real good way
Makes
of...
sense.
But yeah, it's simple, but it's complicated. It's weird. So like a plane, they'll say, well, just say from LA to New York. I'm just going to throw a ballpark number that I fucking don't know. I only need 22% fuel to get there. Because when I land, I'm going to only have 5% fuel. Which is actually wrong because I think the alarms come on at 10% or some shit like that. But anyways, they'll have that standard set. And they'll be like, okay, fill me up to this level. So when I get there, I can land. And if they're wrong... I'm not kidding you, your flight will be delayed because they just sit there and circle the airfield. It has happened, you can find it, it still happens to this day, and I guarantee you probably somewhere in the world right now, somebody's flight is delayed because somebody put too much fuel in the plane. And they are hovering and doing circles just around the airfield, killing time and burning fuel so they can land. And it gets even worse with cargo planes because it's just that much worse. You combine the idea of passengers, you're getting 1.5 tons of people. A cargo plane, you're getting 9-10 tons worth of cargo that you got to land at there. Like probably less, but like with a train, though, I can show you the cargo. This is an This is an entirely empty train, by the way, and this is what I mean by trains. They have a lot of fuel and they have a lot of power. This train has 4 engines, each one producing 1,500 horsepower each, so that's it's 4,000 horsepower total, but they can produce each individual one can, before wheel slip, produce 900 amps and 900 amps, you know, in a row. I don't feel like doing that part. That's a little bit harder for me right now because I'm tired. But you can do the math on that one. 900 amps for 4 engines, and I can't remember what that equates for torque, but I know that. Why do I not know that now? I know what that equates for torque because it's the same thing as any electric motor ever. They're about all the same to get the right conversion for it. Anyway, so this right here is 1,511.9 tons unloaded. It is a total of 45 cars. I have
3600.
3,600 amps. I guess. Yeah. But let's see. I'm trying. Why can't I think of the torque conversion from that? The problem I'm gonna have though is when I get the torque conversion, remember it is the numbers, because trains don't produce like an average amount of torque you can imagine in your mind, like let's see. I'm trying to think. The Marauder, I'm just gonna throw one I know off the top of my head. I think the Marauder has 2,000. No, the Marauder armored, it's an African armored vehicle that was kind of like the Hummer. They decided to sell it like the Hummer as a military vehicle, except they didn't do it that way. They decided it was a great idea to sell it fully armored to like their military spec, except the only difference was it didn't have any guns and you could color code it. You ordered it whatever color you want. You could have a hot pink, fully armored vehicle if you wanted to. It was completely allowed. It was cool. Let's see if my independent brake will work. This is just running my train brake instead of running that brake because this grade's too little for me to use that brake right now. But anyways, it's I think there's 6,000 pounds of torque out of I think 500 horsepower engine, if I remember correctly. 500 something horsepower engine. So that's 6,000 pounds of torque. This is 36. Torque measures are a whole lot different because Tesla's engines are only like 100 horsepower each or more, right? A little more than that, I think. And they're producing over like 1,000 foot-pounds of torque, and that's with limiters on them. These trains do not have limiters. They don't have a limiter whatsoever saying that I cannot give it as much torque as I need. They do in a way, but it's not the limiter you think of, because those, they limit it the amount of torque because they don't want you to have that torque so you're not going 200 down the highway. This train, they need the torque, so they don't limit it because they need you to tow shit. This train's probably fucking like almost 100,000 pounds of torque. It's ridiculous. It's numbers that you can't fully put into perspective because it's so much force that this train could probably drag, let's see, it's at 1,000 tons. I'm trying to think of something comparable to 1,000 tons that this thing's pulling when I've seen this thing carry, like, a lot. There's trains that carry more than that. I'm trying to think I'm too tired to remember some of these crazy numbers that I've seen about trains pulling these huge cargoes. They will pull ridiculous amounts, though, easily. The joke about a vehicle moving a mountain is no joke when it comes to trains. They move and do it all. But that also comes at a price because they're extremely dangerous in a lot of aspects. They're heavy and huge. They do not stop on a dime. That's the reason you never go in front of them, ever. I don't care if you think you have to, like, I don't care if the lights come down and you just got 30 minutes to wait. Never risk it. It is not worth it. Let's see here. Let me look at the line in front of me. Alright, we got a few S's. I'm looking for a good straight bit where I can kick it off into full gear. How far do I have left to go? Where the fuck is the ending at? Oh, I'm going that way. There's a straight bit there. I really want to get this thing up to 30, 40 miles an hour and show you that this thing will take probably a mile to come to a stop. Even though it's empty. There's nothing on load here. It's just 30-something cars empty, but it's 1,000 tons. And so this thing will still take a mile to stop with full air brake. That is going to be 160 pounds per square inch of pressure on. Let's see, so if you want to do, if this is math that you'd have to probably do on your own after this tunnel. So this train here, I'm trying to think if it's got 3 or 6 wheels. Like each car is going to have approximately, it's going to have 8 wheels per car. I'm trying to think. So it's going to be 160 pounds of pressure per wheel with 8 wheels per car on 45 cars. And it's still not going to stop for that time. And that little rinky-dinky, whatever the hell it wants to hit, a van, whatever, it's just going to follow. It's just going to keep going. And that's just this whole train. what gets scarier is the amount of runaway cars there are in the United States every year, which, keep in mind, the only way to stop a car, once this train gets out of that tunnel, I'll be able to show you. Ooh, I can build some speed up again. Is a wheel brake. So if the train car disconnects, it either has to hit something hard and derail, because it's going to keep going when it hits it at speed. I'm trying to hope I can see this. But if that doesn't happen, someone who's ballsy enough is going to have to stop it. And normally there are ways they have figured out to do that if they get time to do it. It's very difficult, because normally you gotta do is you gotta take a train, accelerate it up to speed safely to where you're not gonna get hit, where you're not gonna derail yourself doing this, catch up, and then ram into it and couple these little fist, they call these a fist couple. If you look, they look like a fist. And then they'll punch together, and then a pin slots in place, which prevents them from coming apart. But this right here, this is the only thing that stops that car. And this whole car's ton is where's that at? Right here. This car weighs 54,300 pounds. Because that's, let's see. That's a load limit is 163,700, and then its capacity is 154,000. I think either gallons or liters. I don't know where this is, Clinchfield. It's either going to be gallons or liters. But then the lightweight, like which is the I think it's a lightweight. I think that's what that means. But the total weight of this car is that bottom number, which is 54,300. So that car weighs 54,300, and I can't think of many of, if any, vehicles in the world that you have a chance of even coming across in your lifetime that drive on the road that weigh as much as that one car does. That's empty right now, and if it was full, it's gonna weigh double that, actually more than double that. Twice, it's gonna weigh 3 times that. I think that's 3 times. Yeah, it should be 3 times. No, less, because the fact that's a pretty good 54. Because if that was straight 50, that'd be 50. Anyways, you get my point. That's going to be a really, really heavy car. And so that means even when they do get the car connected to the train that's chasing it to stop the car that's running away, they then have to slow the train down, which, you know, since we got a good speed here, okay, throttle all the way up. Let me just do this. Let me just switch it to automatic brake. This is emergency. I just locked all the wheels on this train into full emergency. It's going to go to max pressure, which is actually 130, which is going to dump all my air supply straight into the track. And that was roughly, let's see, from where I did that at, I want to say probably about right around here-ish. You can see the train made it all the way down to there, going approximately, about right here-ish, about 30 miles an hour, and it took all the way down to there to stop the train from 30. Set that to lap, and then you also got to reset your system after doing that. Let my pressure build up before I need a brake again. Yeah, that dumped all the air pressure I had into every one of these cars the whole way down. Oh yeah, that's a little much power. Come on, try to get it to move. Come on. Okay, I get you to move now. There we go. So this is another thing. Is I may be on a grade. You see how I'm kind of popping? That's because each one of these cars have slack. So when you're trying to get a train to move, it's not as much as trying to get the train to move. It's releasing all the slack. and all these cars, and then eventually you're gonna get them all to move again. And this is once I get the first third of this train, I'm gonna probably hit a mile, 2 miles an hour, but if I have a long load, the end of it's gonna be slacking. So I'm still gonna have to maintain a higher power to get all that to coming on. You see I'm going point. You're gonna give it some tap pedal. Get this going again. There we go. So now I've decreased all the slack from end to end, all the way down to about there to my train. Just to get this thing to move. And going up a hill is even worse. You can see we're only going 0.2 down a hill. And grades are really important because this is a lot of weight. I gotta build my speed back up. But that's combined with this thing's immense amount of torque, and it still took that. And like this was another thing too. Those cars are empty. Like I'm gonna have to point that out again because they're empty, and this train still had to do that much work just to get the slack released from them. I don't know. It's just ridiculous to me because then, like, when you look at a train going down the road, you don't think about it. You don't think about what's all going on in the cab. And to think that this is simple. Everything here is ridiculously simple compared to a steam train. Dude, I really could not explain how complex a steam train is in the slightest because it just takes a lot of more understanding than just the explanation. Like, I explained the basics. So instead of this, you have a wheel. And that wheel is combined with a bar, which is called your, so you have your reverser, which is the wheel, and then you have the throttle on this, which is not called a throttle on a steam train. It's called a, what the fuck, I can't remember what that's called. But anyways, you have this one lever that does that. And so what you're doing is, you're not shifting gears up, you're kind of pulling out your throttle, we'll call it, because that's what basically it is. In the most beyond simplified sense, that's what it is. While your speed is controlled by what they call a Johnson bar, which is another completely complex situation to explain without showing, like, drawing it out and this and that. I guess you can explain it as a bar that moves up and down, and the closer to center is, the center point is idle. When it's riding high, it's reverse, and when it's riding low, it's forward, I guess. But the closer to the middle, the shorter the distance the piston has to travel for the wheel to move, meaning you use less steam, and on top of that gain more speed, which is what your reverser does. When you're rotating the wheel, you're actually moving the Johnson bar, and then when you're moving your throttle, you're giving it steam. And so it's a complex combination of rolling that wheel in the right motion, in the right timing every so often, while controlling your throttle for where your wheel is set, so you know where your Johnson bar is set. And that is entirely dependent on you knowing where the wheel is set, because there is not a gauge to tell you this. It's your knowledge of what you're doing that's setting you to do that. And that's the basics beyond what it actually is, because on top of that you have to monitor at minimum 4 gauges at one time. Like in this train I have to monitor that one and that one. This one kind of ish, and then those I just monitor when I need to slow down. So like right now I need to, like if I need to slow down, I know how much brake pressure I'm putting by the red bar. The white bar is the train brake. Those are the extra gauges that are not a part of that 4. There's your pressure. There's there's pressure. There's the amount of steam you're giving it. There's I'm trying to remember. There's several gauges that you have to monitor, and him, that's the driver, the conductor per se. So you have the conductor, which is this guy. That guy would be called a fireman, and then his job on a steam train would be shoveling coal, monitoring at minimum again about 4 gauges, which varies ridiculously because some trains have 4, some have up to 8. So that he has to maintain monitoring. That all depends on the type of boiler. On top of that, maintaining the fire in the box, which is just not as simple as putting coal in the box. It's making sure the coal is evenly distributed through the box, and on top of that, making sure that despite it's evenly distributing, it's getting enough air, and it's getting enough air and not too much air. You got good water levels. You're getting enough water, and so forth. And on making sure that the part of the train that carries water has got enough water in it, because if a train runs out of water, that's a steam train I'm talking about, it blows up, and you do not want to be around that, because that's the equivalent of about 50,000 pounds of explosives. It would literally practically disintegrate you. It would completely remove you out of existence. It's wild. But steam trains are so ridiculously complex. And the fact that this was the next step up from that in American train transportation is ridiculous. We went from having something that you practically should have had a degree to use. We would consider a degree, which nowadays you don't actually have to have a degree. Nowadays you would actually don't. You have to go through years of training. Your first spot is over there in the fireman like it was then, but by the time you're probably 25, 30ish, you'd be in the conductor seat or in the engineer seat. The conductor's the guy in the cars back there. He'd actually be all the way back here. I'm gonna see if we have one. I'm actually curious, because the conductor's job is to maintain the stability of the train that you're pulling, and so I'm actually just curious because I haven't checked yet if we have a caboose. Yeah, we do. So this is right here is where the conductor would be. Or not the conductor. So you have the engineer and the fireman hang out in the main train, and the conductor is in here. There's normally a couple other people at times in here too. That's the reason there's multiple seats, but this is not actually that accurate to what the original styles would be. This is not only your heater during the winter, it is also your stove for long voyages. So you have that. The conductors come up here to so they have a high bird's eye view. And see, since we're going through a tunnel, it's going to kick me out of what I was doing back there. But so you have a bird's eye view over the tops of the cars, so you can maintain viewing the cars. Also, the conductor has actually gauges for himself back there, because if he notices that he is slowing down, but the engine was not supposed to slow down, he knows that he is disconnected from the rest of the train, and so he is able to radio. And at one point, what do you call that? What do you call it? Yeah, Morse code was actually a method at one point too. Tell the engineer what's going on, so he can then slow the train down. And slow it down slowly, because you do not want to just throw this thing into emergency, come to a stop, and then the rest of the cars that decoupled earlier are coming down the hill at, let's say, 25, 30 miles an hour like I was earlier, and ram into you, because that's going to be a really bad situation, because it's going to take everything and throw it everywhere. The only reason I know all this is because I got bored and started watching stuff on it one day, and I couldn't stop. When I figured out about how complex this shit actually is, and still is, conductors are really only used now for the main part to be on like passenger lines, but they're still the fireman. But, well, let me rephrase that. He's the fireman, but he's not the fireman anymore. He's the conductor now. But he's also just as much of an engineer as the engineer is. So he may not really technically be able to drive the train for the most part, but if there's ever a circumstance where he needs to, he's actually trained to do it now. which is really cool to me. I think that's really nice that they train them because that's a really beneficial thing. Another thing is timing. They also changed timing on how long they could drive trains and this and that. It's just there's so much into it that I think is overlooked that I just find crazy. Like I really wish that they had steam trains in here so I could show what I mean. Oh, wrong button. We're getting into some steeper hills, so I'm swapping out to the automatic brake or the train brake. We should almost be there. Oh no, I think I know where we are. Well, this is called a sander. I don't know. I've rambled on about trains so much. I'm over here like, fuck, why do I know so much about trains? I genuinely, it's really weird. I think trains are cool, but I could also care less. It's one of those moments where I'm like, they're really interesting to me. Oh, fuck, we are losing speed somehow. But I know I gave it a little bit of independent brake, or my train brake, but I didn't expect to lose that much speed. But it's like, I know all this stuff about trains, and I'm like, why do I know all this? I have no need to know any of it, yet I can explain what a Johnson bar is. Something that is so off the wall and useless in our time that I can't explain how useless that is. It's just, it's pointless to know that because there's no reason to. Johnson bars haven't existed since the steam era. Like, they are... And they're not even that common. There's actually a lot of other ways to do it. They're common, but they're more common in America than in most places. In Europe, they actually had a piston system that was direct drive to an axle instead of a Johnson bar being direct drive to the wheels. Which is not only the only way, it was just the most efficient way of doing it. There was other ways that were done that were actually probably more popular than that I'm thinking about it, just because the locomotives they were on were cheaper to manufacture because they were cheaper to maintain. Because a Johnson bar is a heavy piece of instrument because you have a big bar running along the side of the train that is by no scale anything worth weight-wise light. Like it probably weighs, if I had to guess, 2 to 3 tons. Like it is a heavy bar, and there's two of them. There's one on that side and there's one on that side. And then it's combination between a bracket and another series of smaller bars that do a lot of controlling gauge measurements, like as in like they help. So it's really weird how that works because they don't measure directly steam, they measure by mechanical and how much steam you're using. And so you kind of learn how it is by a series of adjustments made that then tell a gauge what the steam usage is by the mechanical speeds and settings of the instruments. That's weird. There's another bar that controls the amount of steam being inputted. So you have your throttle, but the throttle's not the only part that controls that. It's really, I don't know how to explain that. That's really, not the amount of steam, it controls when it's being implemented. Because unlike a piston engine or like a diesel or a gas engine, they're always we'll start with the intake stroke. You have the intake, compression, detonation, which then sends the piston back down, and then when it goes back up again, there's the exhaust stroke, and then it goes back down again for what do you call it? You can go to either. There's two ways of doing this. There are ones where they do it like so. They either have it where the exhaust stroke is then immediately transitioned into the intake stroke again, and then in some cases where there's multiple cylinders, like I believe what is that? The Bugatti Veyron is like this, where it's actually got a gap brake where instead of being directly into another intake stroke, it goes back down, and then back up, and then begins the intake stroke. So in total, that's either 3 to 4 strokes. And then in the rarest of occasions, I've even heard that there are 5th stroke engines for humongous engines. I believe it's what do you call it? I know that if I had to think of one off, I believe the old marine engines the Germans used to use on their U-boats were like that. They had a 5th stroke. Well, a steam engine is always getting power. It is, no matter where that cylinder is, it is either receiving or discharging power. So when the cylinder, because it's going forward and back on most steam engines, when it goes forward, it's taking it from the back cylinders. It's taking steam in from the back side of the cylinder on the top. Is where it comes in, which will then is then pushing it forward. And then on the bottom of the cylinder are the relief valves, which then eject the steam out the train. Or some cases actually can use that same steam to then divert it up to a different portion to run something. Or some cases don't do that at all, and they have a different system of doing that. It varies so much. But when it's coming, whenever it wants to come back, it's not doing that on its own. It's doing that from more steam getting injected in the front end of the cylinder, which is then driving the cylinder back, which is then the cylinder going back is forcing the steam out the ejection hole. Oh, look. Oh yeah, we gotta slow down. I did not know there was a speed option here. This would be a great place to derail. Look down there. It's the power stroke. That's the word I was looking for. Every stroke on a steam train is a power stroke. Oh, I gave it too much brake, and now all the cars behind me have to discharge their brake. Well, I was distracted because that's kind of the video I watched that led to me finding out all this stuff about trains. Because it started with steam trains. I was like, it was something about why steam trains were more efficient fuel-wise than cars. In a way, it was kind of like, it was weird because cars are more, or these diesel engines are more efficient fuel-wise than the steam train. But when it comes to consumption, consumption wise and what it's doing with said fuel is more efficient on the steam train because it's constantly using fuel. Instead of having strokes where it's not doing anything, it always using stroke. By the way, I rushed back fast enough. I just thought of this and I kind of wanted it. Yeah, no! He started moving. Oh, actually there's more right here. Come on, let me unlock it. Let me unlock it. No! I'm getting caught on my own train. I got an idea if I go to the far side. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Come on. Let me unlock it. Let me unlock it. Let me unlock it. Let me unlock it. I see it. It's right there. Ah! Yes! I got him! I don't know why, I just really wanted to do that. Just fucking free cam it and go unlock his door. I'm so confused. How is he going already? How did he not hit me? I mean, oh yeah, never mind. I'm not as long as the last time I came down here. Where's his caboose? I feel like we're kind of probably mid-60s or to early 70s right now in current game time. Because if like with current game time, because of the fact that we're still using cabooses. There's not very many things, like places I could even think of in the world where cabooses are still a thing. Because normally you don't need to do that. They were phased out due to other systems improving. I'm in heritage lines, but we're running coal, which makes us definitely not a heritage line. Heritage lines run passengers only. And also the only one in the world that still runs the heritage line wise that I can think of off the, or not heritage lines, public passenger line that still runs is in California, if I remember correctly. It's not Santa Fe, it's something else line in California that still runs these old diesels like this. These things are not the cleanest burning. These are exhaust fans, by the way. They're intake. That's the exhaust. This is air intake. And I don't know. I don't get this. How is these fans? How are those fans even efficient? You have your air intake directly at your. You have these huge fans sucking in air directly at the area where you're exhaling the burnt fuel or the fucking exhaust. I'm trying to think now. I guarantee you there's probably a piece of paper somewhere out the world explaining how that works. I am probably gonna end up finding it at some point just because that's gonna be a question that's gonna pop up in my head again. You can see when I let off the throttle though, because we're going downgrade, all the cars slam into me. But when I give it throttle, it'll release that tension. That's the reason my character would jerk like that, so if I give it throttle... Release throttle. I don't think we got enough speed up to do it. We're actually almost there, and then when we do this, I kind of want to go do something. Can I pass that? If I pass that, it's fucked. You can see my fucking e-brake moment there, and my ups and downs speeds. There is no, I can't, I don't know. There might be, if I was good enough with the service brake, I might be able to just direct run that whole line. Trans Panini. That was the first ever line I created. Call this one Train. Add. I kind of want to do from there to there. 2 leads, 12. Yeah, sure. I don't want any stops. We're gonna start out, and this is, I know, in the 70s. This is early 70s. Like, not early, but like, I think it's, I don't know. I can't remember what year it was. It was 70 something. I think 73 in England. When we starting out in Manchester Victoria Station. Before the remodel, I guess, because that's the reason they added this. Engine drying, good. Is that brake release? I'm gonna need a. I don't want to run off. White. Oh, where am I going down there? Oh, I don't remember what the route is. I really want to stop at Leeds City Station, platform 12. Here's what I'm gonna get to then. Okay. Now then, that this ends set up. I'm not done yet. I go all the way down to here. Make sure that's released. Almost. Oh fuck. You really don't make me. Red. Leads. Why can't I not unlock that door? No, I can't go outside on this train. Oh well, I don't see it. I just want to see my lights. So behold, this is one train connected like that. These are... You technically could uncouple that, but like, I don't know why you would. Let's see, this weighs 32.5 tons. Both ends do. Aha! Can't stop me now, fucker. Gotta see, so it leads. Yeah. So, this is how they do it there though. The guard would come out, and the reality is he would be the one to come down and open the doors for him real quickly. All fake. Wait a minute. There we go. So now then, this train's interesting for the fact that instead of your usual, wait, does this thing have a... Oh yeah, I gotta set the reverser to forward. And set the gear selector to 1. And then we release my brake, which will lead to us to start to move. And then our cab light, for some fucking reason, is way up there. See what I mean though? So these are your release levels, and then you get your applied levels, so it's weird. Ah, come on. Gear 2. Hey. I fucking don't know how that thing works. I know what it is, but I don't know how it works. I could not tell you. It's something that Britain has. And it's so, like, it tells you about the lights that are coming up. They also have two horns. They have low and high. High is for when you're not near population. Low is for when you're around people, so that way you won't have to, like... If you have a high horn, so like high is loud, low is quieter. So it prevents people from having to deal with you in urban areas. So what I mean, you gotta shift gears, and I don't know how many gears. 8 it said. See, like right there I need a shift, but I don't need a shift until I cross that 60 miles per hour mark, because then I'll have a reason to get me. Which is right now, so, oh, never mind, I can't shift. Okay, so I get 4 gears and 4 throttle levels. I thought I had more gears. Loud that horn is. You see these things gotta be right here. The engines. I think this is not fast. There's a train that could go over 100 in this game. You only have that one type of brake, which is the train brake. Which really, until we hit that 50 miles per hour mark, which is coming up. Fuck does that brake system work? So confused. Where do you see your brake at? It's like these are that's speed, that's engine RPM, and that's some form of pressure. I don't understand at all. Ah, yes, this is one of these trains. Before they gave Britain all this safety bullshit. Come over here and look at shit. What the hell is all that? Make sure I'm going to speed limits too. I don't know why I want to do this now. I'm probably going to hop off and go to bed. Yeah, I'm probably gonna hop off and go to bed. I'm checking the time. It's fucking 50 miles. I didn't even notice that. Those trains are fast as fuck! I crashed one going 200 because I just turned the throttle all the way up and walked away because it lets you do that. Those don't have the safety pedal on them. Those are here. That's to get London Underground, which is harder than hell. Unbelievably hard. Like, there are so many buttons, like beyond more than you actually need. Every lever does like 3 things in one, and there's only 2 levers and like 26 buttons, and everything works. And I couldn't tell you, there's literally 4 places in the cab to open the doors. Like, there's some to your left, there's some in front of you, there's some behind you. No. There's ones to your back left. There's ones in front of you. And then on the right side, there's another set in the same exact orientation that was on the other side. There's some in front and there's some back. Not only that, but then there's other buttons. I don't know what they do. I've done the tutorial and I still don't get it. It's too complicated. And Canadia. I'm going to bed. Good night.